Okay, we should be live, Your Worship.
All right, thank you very much, Jen. Hello, Economic Development Action Committee. Nice to see you all today. It was a nice weekend, and it's not a bad day out there today. I guess it rained a little bit, but great to join you all at this time. We do have a guest with us, Jason. We're going to get to you a little later in our agenda, Jason. So we'll get to you in a minute, but we do have a little bit of business to do, and then we'll get right to it. So I'll give the welcome. I also acknowledge that our CIO, John Ferguson, while he is a part of this committee, is not able to be here at this time. So we'll hope that he'll be able to join us. And I know that Jen Kane Percy will keep him up to date on the activities of the committee. All right, council committee. We'll call for the approval of the agenda. Recommendation be it resolved that the Economic Development Advisory Committee hereby approve the agenda dated April the 6th, 2021 as presented. Does anybody want to add anything onto the agenda, or are you comfortable? Okay, I'll look for a mover and seconder. So somebody put your hand up. Let's see, Bill. Okay, and seconder, Jen. Thank you. All those in favor? That's great. That carries. Declaration of disqualifying interest or general nature thereof. Anybody got a conflict? I don't think there's any conflicts on the table, is there? Don't see any. Thank you. And item number 5 is our financial report. I don't have anything further to add other than it was in our agenda at our last meeting, and that did give you an update from the treasurer, a little bit about what we have available for this committee to use. So do you have any questions about that from the last meeting? No? Okay. We should have a motion on here to approve the minutes. I see business arising from the minutes, but I don't see approval of the minutes. So we're going to put that on there, Jen Kane Percy. So how about we talk about the minutes, and we'll just say a motion to receive the minutes from March the 9th. Does anybody get any questions on that?
Nope,
Judith,
no questions.
you're comfortable? Okay.
Yeah, I can move it.
Judith is going to move that.
I'll second it.
Barry Burton will second it. Any questions on the minutes? You guys have a chance to read them over. That's great. All right. All those in favor?
Yep.
That carries. And so we have a guest here with us, Jason Gillum. Jason, it's great to have you aboard. He made a presentation to council, right, Jay? And so we recommended you come to this committee for this committee to hear your presentation. And perhaps Bill, Jen, and Judith, we can all have a good listen to what he has to say. And we'll pass the chair right over to Jason. Go ahead, Jay.
Perfect. So I will share my screen and present something slightly different than what I was able to share with council a couple weeks back. Ultimately, what we're doing is establishing an organization to focus on growing innovation and technology-based companies within the community. The community being the larger South Georgian Bay area. What I want to do is talk through where we're at with that organization creation, who is looking to serve, and then get any input, because we really see Clearview as part of this overall community of innovation and tech within the area. So first off, really looking to create something special within the community. I mean, the area is already well known for its fantastic recreational facilities and a great place to live and work, but we're continuing to see an opportunity for creating an innovation and technology ecosystem within this community. So for innovation and technology ecosystems, I really see there being 3 key pillars that need to come together in order to create such an environment. The 3 key pillars, as I see it, are ideas, capital, and talent. And by bringing those 3 elements together, as has been done in many other areas, that opportunity for businesses to grow and thrive in a community can exist. So the core things that we already have in this community is great access to a number of universities from Waterloo through Toronto through Guelph that are all only a short drive away from from the area. There's lots of business experts moving into the community. There are a number of supportive municipal partners. Both the town of Collingwood and the town of Blue Mountains has committed to providing some funding for the launch of this organization. The high density of investment wealth within the community is a key part of what's needed for a technology and innovation ecosystem, and certainly this area has that. There's lots of local business support for what's going on in the community. The lifestyle, as I've identified, is one of the key things that this community has to offer for drawing talent and ideas into the community. And then the existing group of innovation and technology-based businesses that are located within this area really helps to round out what exists for this ecosystem. We see the technology accelerator as becoming one additional element within the overall ecosystem, but also acting as a catalyst to bring all of these elements together through networking and other events that will really draw the different parts of the ecosystem together to be highly successful. So I'll talk a little bit about me and 2G Robotics first. So my background, I grew up in the area, in the community. And specifically, I grew up in Duntroon and went to school in Collingwood at CCI, and then went off to university in Waterloo for school, and then started my business, which is the first business we'll talk about, 2G Robotics. That founded that in the Waterloo community, and then the company was acquired just in January of 2020. But I would have loved to start that business locally within this area. It was an underwater technology-based business. Waterloo is relatively landlocked relative to all of the Great Lakes, but it really was the ecosystem of support that existed in the community, which is why I started my business there. It would have been great to continue to have that business thriving within this community had I been able to have the supports for that locally. SensorTech is a long-standing business based in Collingwood that is continuing to grow. It's about a 40-person business right now, but it's shifting to a lot of its growth outside of the area. AdBank is another real high-tech business, blockchain-based company, founded locally, but has moved headquarters to Innisfil based on some of the acceleration support that it's getting there. And then Hear Me Cheer is a company that is still based in the town of the Blue Mountains area, but the founder is seriously considering relocating to a larger ecosystem for continuing their growth. So ultimately, what the ecosystem is connecting, who it's serving, is startups where inventors and founders with technology, and we're able to connect them with technology and business support so that they can start their business. Established businesses with new opportunities. These can be companies that need talent in the community, and we can draw that and support them through providing technological and innovative creators and supporting that. The core focus for the business is on the scaling businesses, and so I'll talk a lot about really targeting these high growth companies in some of the following slides. But then also non-technology based businesses that have problems that they're looking to solve with technological means. I see the accelerator being a supportive part of that ecosystem by being able to curate ideas and problems so that we can draw talent into the community to help solve some of those problems. Because nothing's better for a startup than having captive customers who are interested in and engaged in helping them to develop and test initial prototypes. So as I've talked about, I really see the accelerator as a core catalyst for creating much of this ecosystem, but the core focus of the business is on really targeting these high growth businesses, these high growth companies that have some form of intellectual property, whether it's patents, trade secrets, but some intellectual property that they're able to then leverage to substantially change their growth rate. And so those substantial changes in growth rate of a business come with all sorts of unique challenges that stable growing businesses don't have. And the accelerator is there to support those high growth businesses while they go through changes in the operations of how they do their business. They need to shift from experimentation to execution. And all of that growing really exposes a lot of growing pains from a management standpoint that just weren't previously there. So this graphic sort of shows the types of businesses that the accelerator is really looking to target with some of our core programming. So the core programming is 4-month acceleration sprints, as we're calling them, looking to target companies that are in that sort of 3 to 10 employees range. They have some intellectual property that's what allows them to leverage that intellectual property to see that substantial growth rate. We want to have some demonstrated customer traction. It's not up to us to decide who will be successful, who won't be successful. We want to have the market tell us these are the businesses that are gaining traction, but that we need to really substantially support their growth ambitions as they go through that transition. I mentioned it's a 4-month sprint of support. And so where a lot of programs and a lot of accelerators will have a very prescribed program that they will walk their customer base through. This accelerator we're seeing as being a little bit more bespoke and customized for what it is that the customers need or the clients need. So the first part of any accelerator program will be a deep dive by an expert, bit of a business generalist into that business, really understand what that business's problems are, where they need support, and what the core issues are that the business can be supported with. The next phase becomes developing the programming that the business will be run through, and then the final 3 months is really supporting that business with whatever that specific targeted need is to help them through the transition that they're going through, whether that's maybe what is identified really to accelerate the growth of the business is some strong sales support. So the accelerator will help bring on an experienced VP of sales as an embedded executive into that business, but then additionally hire yet an even more experienced sales mentor to help coach the overall team and drive a degree of success through that program. Maybe it's fundraising that really is what the company needs some help with, and so helping on pitch deck creation, helping on bringing in mentors to help with some of the pitch coaching. Those may be the things that the accelerator can support depending on what that business needs. And then there's obviously continued support that can be provided for these businesses as they go through the programming. Talking about Waterloo a little bit as a case study, the region of Waterloo being the cities of Waterloo and Kitchener amongst Cambridge and the surrounding townships, really had a core group of businesses being RIM, DALSA, Christie Digital, and OpenText that were able to establish that community as a tech hub. And through successive years of growth from creating the Accelerator Center in 2006, 2007, that's what has created a wave in that late part of the decade where a lot of startups started to be created, generate a lot of economic activity, and really has transformed the downtown Kitchener corridor. And has really evolved the matrix and makeup of the community through social impact initiatives amongst obviously an increased tax base for the overall community. So it's that form of economic development activity that we're seeing the accelerator be a catalyst for within the overall South Georgian Bay area. So some of the core activities that I've touched on, but really highlighting here, one is this high growth targeted accelerator that we're talking about with the 4-month business sprints. The other is supporting learning, networking, collaborating, really being a connector within the ecosystem to ensure that people can come together, create innovation through collaboration. We're keen to see and attract some new businesses into the community. There is an opportunity where we're interested in getting some beachhead type clients and larger names into the community, potentially with satellite offices. And then the last piece, for those companies that are not necessarily interested in the high growth targeted accelerator, there is more or intensive accelerator program. There is more targeted mentorship that those companies can receive from a pool of mentors, as well as connecting them with mentors within the community, depending on what their needs are. So the leadership of the team, starting out, we have a board established, being Peter. He's a well-established CFO is his predominant work. He's done a lot of work with startups in the past, funding and growing them. Jillian runs the Center for Business, which has a catchment area, including Clearview Township, but beyond. It has been her, through her organization, that has spearheaded a lot of the creation of some of this. And then Ian Locke has a lot of startup experience, both within Ontario, as well as the San Francisco area. And he's up here full time, but has experience both with startups as well as helping to establish these sorts of not-for-profits to support the area. And then there's myself, who's been engaged to get this initiative off the ground after exiting my company that I created here in Waterloo, and I'm moving back into the community and establishing the accelerator. So we really see now as the right time to create this initiative. There are lots of people coming into the community because of the recreation and culture that the area can provide. And it's really that draw to the community, bringing together the talent, the capital, and the ideas that the accelerator is looking to achieve. And then COVID has really accelerated that, but not only accelerated that, it's highlighted the importance of a well-diversified economy. Obviously the hospitality sector is having a lot of challenges through the COVID period. We are implementing this in a very phased implementation approach. So a year one budget, we were looking for combined municipal contributions of at least $200,000. There are other government contributions that match that, which have been committed. And then we're currently in a process to get additional contributions from private and corporate donations for $200,000 to $250,000 as well. The core efforts with those funds, in addition to being the catalyst for this ecosystem and drawing together the different members through networking and sort of relationship building, we're looking to bring 8 companies through these intensive sprints that we're wanting to grow, targeting and increasing their growth rate of 20% for those businesses. As we're seeing this initiative very much like a startup itself, where we're trying to experiment, understand what works through year one before we start to have more substantial outlays of cash and more substantial expenses, things like physical space. So this year we're just looking to begin and support some businesses. Moving into years 2 and 3, the idea is to expand the offerings, expand the services, and eventually have some physical space that can be sort of a clubhouse for innovation and technology within the community. So there's a number of different ways that we're interested in having people get involved. Everything from volunteering, mentoring, just joining in to keep apprised of the activities that we're interested. And then really what I'm interested in talking about today, which is helping to contribute to fund this initiative, to really realize the opportunity that exists in front of us with the innovation and technology community that we have. That's where I'm happy to leave things for today, but also keen to hear any questions and thoughts that this committee has on how Clearview might be able to contribute to some of the support that we're looking forward to get this off the ground.
All right, Jason, thank you very much. Certainly I'll have some questions, but I'll turn to the committee if there's any members of the committee that would like to ask any questions, or if you've got anything that on your mind or something that perhaps not clear about what this is about. Hello, Bill. Go ahead, Bill.
I'm just curious, at the beginning of your presentation, you mentioned that somebody left Collingwood and moved to Innisfil. Why? Do you know who that was? And I think there was another one that moved too. I kind of missed who that was.
Yeah, so there's a company, AdBank, that was founded in Collingwood. There is an accelerator that is set up in Innisfil. And so the company has relocated to take advantage of the supports that exist as part of the Innisfil accelerator.
What's an example of a support? Like, is it other smart minds to pick their brain on, or is it internet sourcing, like high speed versus rural internet, or?
Yeah, so the main kind of curriculum-based acceleration programs that exist will walk companies through a series of, it's almost like startup school. You can think of it a little bit like an education program, where experts and mentors will come in and help to look at the businesses, understand based off of their past experiences what this business needs. Maybe the business understands already some of what they need, and the mentors come to provide some of the answers, whether it's sales or finance.
Yeah, so it's soft support as opposed to tangible touch and feels, like not business, like building bricks and mortar and that kind of thing. It's more management guidance.
Right. So I've never seen an accelerator that would provide capital purchase support for businesses. The closest that, in some ways, what we're looking to do with the South Georgian Bay Accelerator is be willing to provide embedded executive support for companies. So that something tangible would be, or the closest to something tangible would be if the example I used, where somebody would be wanting to bolster their sales efforts, they could hire in, through support from the accelerator, an experienced salesperson that will really take, and that support would be time bound, such that helps to get the company over that hurdle of not necessarily being able to afford it themselves, but then be able to continue the growth rate beyond that, with that person continuing to be engaged.
Right. In terms of the financials that you have, and apologies if I missed it, but was that amount that you're planning to raise or amount that you have raised today?
It's a hybrid. So the total municipal commitment to date is $200,000 combined between Collingwood and the town of the Blue Mountains. The match funding from the federal government of $200,000 is an existing commitment, and then the $200,000 to $250,000 private is where we are at right now. So we've started some conversations with predominantly high net worth individuals in the community that see where they've been able to grow their businesses and some of the successes that they've had. Plus, they're interested in being part of that community and providing some mentorship support. So they also want to see this sort of initiative in the community. That 200 to 250, none of that has yet been raised.
When I looked at your finance statement, you had $330,000 for salaries. How many full-time employees are going to be are part of your organization?
The expectation will be to have 3 full-time, and then there will be some additional salaries for part-time mentor experts in residence type individuals.
So to follow up on that, so any of these mentors, people that are going to be advising, they're all going to get paid for the time they put in. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. Okay.
And sorry, I want to amend that a little bit. So the funds are there because there will certainly be a pool of people who will get paid for their mentorship support that we will want to bring in. But as part of that ecosystem development and being a catalyst for the community, a lot of founders who have exited or are continuing to run their business are always very keen to pass on that learning and knowledge within the community. So there will be a degree of mentorship and support that will not be paid, and ideally it won't even be tracked by the accelerator. It just starts to organically take place by networking and community building.
So one of the biggest problems that an entrepreneur guy has an idea and wants to get off the ground, obviously one of the biggest problems is always financing. So do you have, so to clarify, the accelerator will not be offering financing. Is that correct?
That is correct. What we will be doing is continuing to leverage the networks that we're building in order to support making connections between people with ideas and people with capital, so that ideas can get funded and investors can get returns.
Jason, I'm going to ask you a question about mentoring. Certainly, we have seen some success in that in Clearview. There's been a couple of cases of small businesses that have had some mentoring assistance just to get them off the ground and steer them in the right direction, find the right accountants or whatever to help them out. And so is that the type of role? It's similar to something that Jillian was doing here as well. She was in our office some years ago and would meet with small business people and help them find resources or tap into networks. Is that, you're just talking about accelerating this more in a technology area, sort of a focused mentoring, is that right?
Yeah, I would say that there's two parts to the focus. So I think you're totally correct about that there's a degree of focus to this, and there are two parts to that focus. One is the technology and innovation aspect to the businesses and the unique challenges that those kinds of businesses can face. The other core part of the focus becomes around the stage that those businesses are at. So companies that have a degree of traction, some initial pieces there, but are starting to go through that more high growth rate that they can feel, rather than feeling that they need to go elsewhere for that support, because that kind of programming doesn't exist through programs like Jillian's. That's the niche that the accelerator will fit.
And that helps explain it a little bit better for me anyway. That's great. Okay. Have you got any questions to us as to what the Economic Development Advisory Committee could do to help you?
I mean, the biggest thing that would be of relevance, and I don't know if this is something you guys will end up discussing offline or in place, but understanding to what degree this committee would recommend to council from a funding level to help support the accelerator. I think that's ultimately the one side of the request that would be interesting for this committee. The other becomes helping to identify companies within your networks that would benefit and be able to be a part of this community. Really, and we're pretty, one of the core pillars of any sort of community building and ecosystem development is to be relatively inclusive. So we're very keen to learn about lots of companies that either people who have innovative ideas that need to get something off the ground that don't necessarily have some of that early customer traction. We can help support them to get to there. But then in particular, any businesses that are at that stage where they're saying, we want to ramp up and really make a go of this. We're also very keen to engage with them.
Okay, very interesting. I'm pleased that you were able to come to this committee and present it, and gives me a little bit better understanding now too as to what you're all about. Anything further from the members? Do you have any questions further?
Yes, I do, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Barry. Just jump in, guys.
Yeah. So the services you're going to be offering to these startup companies or these entrepreneurs, the services you're offering, are they free to them?
That's correct.
So it is free. So that's why you're trying to raise funding to cover the cost so that the services you're providing is free to them.
That's correct. There are I would say 3 models that typically happen. One is where it's truly free, which is what the South Georgia Bay Accelerator has. Another becomes more of a consulting model where companies will pay a portion of the services that they get. We've decided not to go that path. And then the third becomes a dilutive equity path where the accelerator actually takes a stake of ownership in the businesses. And again, that is not what we're doing. This accelerator at this stage, at least, is completely free for the members.
Do you have a marketing plan? Like, how do you go out and find these small startups or entrepreneurs, whatnot?
So one of the things that is fantastic is with Jillian as a board member, with her reach into the community, she's aware of a lot of companies, and we've gained a little bit of press, and so that has drawn the first customers and clients and applicants into the program. We've seen enough uptake through word of mouth and based off of the existing community that's around that we aren't looking to drive a substantial marketing plan for intake at this time.
Have you had any applications from companies in Clearview?
I don't believe so.
All right, well, we're always interested to hear about that. If you get an application, and certainly bring it to our attention. Interesting, Jason, that you started your company in Waterloo, and then you came back to our area, and I presume you're still in the Duntroon area right now. Is that right?
I'm at this moment still in the Waterloo area as we're busily getting the house ready to sell. And the kids are going to finish out school here, and then we have a place in Collingwood, and that's where we'll
great.
Be for the next bit.
Well, certainly be great to have you back in the area anyway.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much. If there's any other members that have any further questions. All right, listen, thank you, Jason. If you would like to follow up with us with perhaps a letter of a clear ask that you can send to myself, and I'll share it with these members, and then we can have a discussion about that or take it to council. Okay?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. And thanks for joining us. You don't have to stay. We're going to continue on with our meeting, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, very good.
All the best. That was interesting. Actually, yeah, he made a presentation to council, and I think I have a better understanding of it now. So that's much better to have him here. So thank you for that. You guys were great. Good questions. Okay, committee. So right now we have item number 7, which is our business arising from the minutes. And these are the 2 items that are the item that we talked about at our last discussion about setting some goals. So before we start right in, I just want to review, there was some great conversation that was held here. And to be honest, Judith, you kicked it off by talking about housing, and it is continually to be a big problem. Have you got anything more to say about the lack of housing for employees around here?
There's not much to say. Hasn't changed.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. I don't know what the solution is.
I don't know what it is either. It's difficult. I was wondering if on the topic of housing, whether we may be interested in having a talk with the people at the Georgian Triangle Development Institute. They have a pretty good handle on development that's going on and around the whole region. Plus, we also have a pretty active group right here and around Stayner that the individual developers have been working very closely about bringing servicing to Stayner, to improve the housing stock and availability here, because there's a bit of a water shortage right now in Stayner area. And so building the water lines will bring more capacity, which will bring more building. So it's all the plans are there. It's just a matter of the developers are meeting and sharing ideas, and we're very close at council to being able to bring forward a report which will show a deal to establish that water line. So it's been well talked about, and we're getting closer to that. All that means is that we could see more and more housing being developed in and around Stayner sooner than later. The problem that I have, of course, is that the cost of these darn things would make it outside of the reach of some people, given their wages that they're seeing in their job. So
yeah, I think maybe short-term rental housing is the bigger crisis because of the gap. There's no starter homes left, so
No.
their only option is to rent. And if you look at the papers and there's not much for rent.
No, there isn't.
Yeah. I can agree with that and attest to that as well. So support what you're saying, Judith. In terms of also developmental mandates, are there built-in affordability aspects to new development that we might be able to look at?
Mhm.
right, and or partner with to support them. So yeah, we do need to talk to them. There are some developers that are well set on their ways and that have already, got their lots and everything all organized. There are other developers that have just areas of property that have discussion on them that haven't got any site plans approved yet. So those are the people we certainly want to talk to. So I would like to propose that at our next meeting, we have an update from the planning department. Perhaps we'll ask Mara Burton to come and join us, and she can outline for us some of these developers and where they stand. We have some that are very, very busy and building houses today, but they may not fit into that affordability clause that you're speaking of, Judith. So yeah, so maybe we can talk to Mara and see if there's anything there. I know, Barry, you've been working with the county of Simcoe a little bit. Can you, is there anything there that maybe we could draw upon to help us?
It's like, there's two issues, okay? So don't confuse affordable housing with social housing. Affordable housing is typically 20%, like rents are typically 20% below market value. Social housing is for people who are on social assistance. So they're sort of two different things. And the county certainly supports affordable housing. I was heavily involved with the build that happened in Victoria Harbour. Got council to support $4 million towards the build. But the bottom line is, and we've started a small reserve in Clearview for affordable housing for seniors, but we really need to get a reserve going. And it doesn't happen overnight, because the way you build affordable housing is, the township kicks in so much money, county matches it. And I'm just going to pick an example. If we had $1.5 million and the county kicked in $1.5 million, and then you go meet up with the developer and says, we got $3 million, you kick in $3 million, there's $6 million. Let's build something. And that's sort of how it works. And it becomes a co-op of working together. Typically, the township donates some land. And what happens is the developer has to sign a contract that the rents are, fixed, can't go up more than so much money. And it's usually a 25-year contract is how it works. But it's how you create affordable housing, because a developer cannot afford to build affordable housing because it's just too expensive to build today. So, and that's why there isn't. And that's why you see all the developers that are funding their own projects are, starting at the 500,000 mark. So, what we need to do as a township is, get some reserves put aside and work with county and get a plan together. Go, here's what we want to build. Here's where we want to build it. Here's what money we're prepared to put into reserve over the next 2-3 years, whatever it is. And they get county on board to be supporting that and equaling our contributions. And so I can tell you that's what's happening with Sega Beach. That's what's happened in Collingwood, in Midland, Victoria Harbour. I mean, a little village like Victoria Harbour, but they had a plan, they had a thing, and it worked for them. So we need to get a plan into place if we want to start bringing some, quote, affordable housing to Clearview. And it's something we desperately need.
Cool.
Hope that gives everybody a little bit of insight.
It's very valuable insight, of course. And yes, it is certainly something that we need to talk about. And I would hope that we could get our development community to partner up. It's a matter of finding the right parcel, finding a builder, and making it work. So Barry, would you like to investigate a little bit more of that and be able to bring some information back to this committee that we can then push upstairs to council? Is that possible?
Yep, sure.
Okay, I think that would be very helpful. And in the meantime, like I said, I'd like to ask Mayor Burton to come and join us at our next meeting, give us an update on overall developments that are already in the works, and talking specifically housing, because there are a few industrial developments that I want to mention as well that's happening too. So anyway, so I want to get a housing update from Mara. Hopefully that'll be helpful to this committee, and maybe that'll bring us something that we can present to council. So I do want to, sorry, go ahead. No, okay. I was just going to mention again about industrial. There's been some great work going on over on Poplar Street, which is the little road in the back of the industrial park in Stainer. Those properties are getting developed as we speak. They're moving soil and preparing the sites for builds this summer. I was talking to Mr. Dempsey, who's one of the owners of one of the properties, and he's got some work happening very soon. And one of the buildings is going to be available for rent. That'll have availability for small businesses to set up, which would be really ideal, for attracting small businesses or small manufacturers to the community. So I was hoping to maybe we can get an update from that project and see how they're doing over there. I don't know when, but they're a private company. So I was going to reach out to them and have a conversation and see if they wanted to share with us, or see if there's anything we could maybe co-op with them to help promote attracting some of these facilities that are going to need to be filled, right? These businesses. So that's something I'd like to put out there. Have you guys driven by that site by any means? Bill, have you driven over there? It's in the back of the industrial park. Yeah.
I don't think so. Not off Poplar. No.
Yeah. Well, if you just go down center and then turn and go around, Poplar comes out on Industrial Parkway, right there where Darpac is. Yeah, just go down that road and you'll see it. It's pretty surprising, actually, the amount of work that's happened there already. Anyway, so that's the one thing I was going to throw on the table. Hope that you guys would appreciate. So is there anything that you guys want to bring up? Like I said, we had a good discussion last time that we would like to set as a short-term or a long-term goal. So I think our committee needs to keep getting updated on information, and we need to be able to be prepared to react if necessary. But I think as far as goals, short-term and long-term, anybody thought of anything that you'd like to put on the table?
Just a quick update that I will with Amanda, Marie, and Terry at the tourism side of things. That will happen next week. Good. And hopefully there might be something that we can bring to the table in the next by the next meeting. That's excellent.
Can I mention something? Jen Kane Percy and I were looking at this. You guys seen this? So this is like a full sheet of paper with a map of the township, right? And on the back, there's a bit of information about special events and so on. But this is out of date because it was printed in 19. We didn't do one last year because of COVID. So I'm really hopeful that Amanda, maybe Jen, you can mention it to her, that Amanda and her crew with Drew, who's an amazing assistant to us, can republish this, get it to in nice shape. And to be honest, this is what I was hoping. It would end up being about this size, because this is a really good example of how if somebody looks at it and it opens up, right? Anyway, and then you take all that, you put it on digital, and you can call it up on your phone, which is even better. But to me, there's still people coming into every store in our town here that are looking for this. They come in, they want to know where things are. And you got to pull out a piece of paper and draw it on there and say, go here. So, so you still need those paper things, I know.
Should we maybe doing something very similar and listing all the businesses that are in Clearview?
Oh, yeah.
A map showing their location and a legend on what they do. What does each business do? I mean, there's so many businesses here that people don't even know what people are doing. I'm sure nobody knows what I'm doing in my business. It's because I don't deal with the public. So it's So
yeah, especially for new residents, it's a helpful guide to what is going on in Clearview.
Right. No doubt. And it's helpful to other businesses. If you want to I need a machine shop to make something for me. and you're going through the yellow pages. Oh, here's somebody in Barrie, where if we had a list of the services and on a map and some sort of brochure and digital where we had a list of all the businesses and what they do, kind of would be helpful, I think, to a lot of businesses. The more we can, the more we can help create, shop in Clearview, and spend your business money, because that's what the county's doing right now, economically, economic development. The focus is now shop Clearview, spend your business money in Simcoe, spend your money in Simcoe, and that's what they're focusing on. They're sort of backed away from the tourist part, which has always been a big part of the economic development, but now it's getting, it's about getting businesses and local people to buy and understand what they can buy and what's available in Simcoe County.
Jen, you've got some marketing background and printing background. What do you think? Is there an opportunity for us to create some type of digital portal that would list some simple services for businesses? Is that a
Absolutely.
reasonable? Yeah.
I think that, the world's your oyster with digital, and we can do a lot with very little. So I think that would be a great investment.
See, there you go. All right, let's hear more about that. If you want to dream up something or present something to us, let us know. But I have to say, on the side of the tourism and the people visiting our shops and stores that we have today, the tourism side is real. There's a lot of people this summer, with COVID going on, we're going to have more and more people just getting in their car and driving up here with their mask on, and hopefully they keep their masks on, and visiting. So there are a lot of trails. The trails are being used more than ever. Our parks are getting a lot of attention. So we as a township have to keep that in mind for sure, that we are definitely going to be seeing an influx of people. So that's where I'm very hopeful, like I said, that we'll get something like that printed up and get it up to date and get it out there as soon as we can. Obviously, it's an important part of the job. So
I can say one thing, as a bed and breakfast in town, we get asked for something that they can take in their hand and go around. The digital thing is great, but people still like that piece of paper in their hand.
I see it as
book this summer. So
I see it as both.
I don't know if they're going to be able to come or not, but we'll see.
Go ahead, Jen.
No, I'm just saying that I see it as both. I think that there are different types of people and there are different types of needs. And so a print piece that then is supported by digital for those types of people would be beneficial.
For sure. Well, like I said, I really hope that we can get that attention. Jen, you're meeting with Amanda and Terry when?
Next Wednesday.
Perfect. Okay. Let us know. Send us an email. Let us know how it goes, or if they need any love and persuasion from us. Okay, so that's kind of a short-term thing, because I think that addresses our issues with COVID or this summer tourism. And I think the long-term thing would be to create some type of, as Barry suggested, a listing of the businesses that can be supportive of each other to create commerce in the community. So the good news is we are going to be adding another member to this committee. Kelly Kramer from the Clearview Chamber of Commerce is going to be joining us. And actually, she's on the agenda for our next council meeting for us to appoint her to the board, so to the committee. So perhaps our relationship with the Chamber of Commerce will expand, and that'll give us a bit of an opportunity to hear more about other businesses. So I think that we should look at that. That's something to do with a digital platform. And I like what you said, Barry, about where do you find a machine shop? I'm sure Judith and her crew could find a machine shop somewhere if they needed something, right, Judith?
You bring it, we'll find it.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. So has anybody got any comments then about any other long-term goals that we should be looking at? Is there anything that we should be thinking?
Can I jump back to the short term?
Sure, please do. Nothing's set in stone here.
With the more aggressive lockdown issue.
Yes.
Is there other businesses that are on borderline that we should be reaching out to? Is there anybody coming saying we can't sustain this any longer that needs support in some way?
I've heard obviously the restaurant industry is impacted immensely. interestingly, the people that are in the entertainment business haven't worked for a year.
Yeah.
It's surprising, you know, there are a group of people in our community who are genuinely musicians who make money being performers, and they just haven't worked. And so they're hurting. And I shared with the Emergency Operations Committee meeting just earlier today that it would be my great hope that we get the music market and park up and running in Stayner this year. Now, if we continue with lockdowns, it's not going to happen, but I want to make sure that we're prepared to open and get it happening so that there can be music and people can still gather in the farmers market area so that we can have some of that. I think that it's, as a short-term thing, it's really important for the community. Now, do you have any other businesses you think that have been directly impacted that we should be reaching for?
I don't know, like the small retailer, like outside of the restaurants, obviously the hairdressers, like they're harder hit than the restaurants that you can't take out a hairdo. I don't know. I think service groups are an issue that we should be monitoring to see if they're struggling. They can't fundraise, like Legion Halls, sports leagues. Like we don't want them to disappear. Like they're volunteers. Like a sports league in particular, it's the parents that rotate through and they're executives and volunteer. Well, we're two age levels moving out of a hockey league or a baseball league. Now we're heading, like by next fall, are they still going to have that volunteer network? I don't know. I don't know if people are talking to groups or if they're reaching out to council for support.
I can maybe say something about that, being a kinsman in this town. We as a club have basically been shut down. We haven't made any donations to the hockey clubs, the baseball teams, and all that. However, for the most part, they've told us they're not looking for anything this year because they've still got what we gave them last year, and they didn't operate, so the money's still in the bank. So they're saying to us that they're not in trouble. They just can't get going because of the COVID thing. Yeah.
And the kinsmen themselves, like, is your morale in your executive still strong?
We have 30 odd members, and I can honestly say, you know, we've had a few get-togethers on Zoom, and you know, we did the thing with Santa on the but of the 30, there's probably only 10 or a dozen that are actually doing anything. The rest are sitting back, waiting.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what they're waiting for, but whatever it is, they're waiting.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear.
But I mean, I think we're a particularly active club. And as I say, I hope you get the music in the park going, because you know what we do there.
Yes, you do. Keep that beer cold, Bill. I appreciate that. No, that's it. You know, the music market and park I think is critical for our community right now, and even the farmers marketing Creemore that has, you know, they relocated last year. I think they're looking for another location again this year because they still can't use the community center. It's just not technically possible during this lockdown. So it's so frustrating, but we're so hoping that we can get music market and park running. Music in the park, I mean, there's a lot of things to it, right? It's the agriculture, you know, support. It's the, you know, community coming together. It's the fundraising of the kinsmen. It's the, you know, it's Raymond Hardesty going around selling those little balloon things that he does for that charity. I mean, there's a lot of real positive things that happen, and so it's important. I really think that this community needs that. So, you know, as soon as we can get out of this, get out of COVID, the better. And we'll be able to open the doors and make that thing happen. But we as a community have to be prepared, you know, to hurry up and wait. We have to get prepared, get ready to go, and then wait till they tell us tomorrow morning we can open. And that's going to be the toughest challenge because, to be frank, municipalities operate rather slowly sometimes in reaction. So I'm really hoping that I'm getting the message to some of the managers that they understand that we want to make sure that we are ready to open at a moment's notice if necessary. So anyway, those are the short-term things that I'm thinking about. So Is there anything else, folks, on short-term goals that we should be looking at for this year? Because I was wondering if we should look at a long-term goal of a marketing / networking meeting, some type of function or some type of event or some type of a big Zoom thing where we would then invite a whole lot of business owners to participate that they could then share or do a type of an event. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. You know, a few years ago, we held a little golf tournament where we had business people meet each other at a golf tournament, and they'd never even met each other, and they're doing business right here in Clearview. And it was great that they all get to socialize and meet and share their business goals. So I was wondering if that's something that we should be looking at. Anybody, any idea? No?
I like that idea. Ignoring COVID.
Sure.
A nice way to do that is to do a tour. You know how council does that tour of businesses that have done things in the year? Like kind of an open door circle around to local businesses to see what they have to offer, as opposed to just sitting around the table. It's fun to get into their establishment and see what they do.
Right. I get it. Like a little poker run, go to different businesses and drop in.
Yeah.
Okay. Good brainstorming. I like it. See, that's great. All right. Does anybody get any other thoughts that they'd like to put on the table? Okay. Well, these are going to always be evolving as far as what we can and cannot do. We've got a couple of short-term things that we're going to handle right away, and I'm looking forward to our establishing a really good relationship with both the Chamber of Commerce and the BIA. We have yet to hear from the BIA as far as their intention to be part of this committee or not, but we have heard from the Chamber, so that's why Kelly's joining us. So that's really positive. So looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to John Ferguson, our new CAO, joining us, because he will become very active in this committee, I expect. He shared with me in a couple of meetings I've had that he has a great interest in EDC type work, and has had some experience in St. John's when he was a counselor there, as well as when he worked for the province of New Brunswick. He shared with me some of his economic development activity work, so that's good. So he comes with some ideas too. All right. So is anybody else got anything for the betterment of the committee? No? All right. Well, nice to see you all. Nice meeting. Thank you all for joining us. I'll just do a motion to adjourn. Be it resolved, Clearview Economic Development Advisory Committee adjourn at 5:29 p.m. How's that?
I'll move it.
Moving it.
Second it.
Bill seconding it. There you go.
All good.
Listen, thanks very much, everybody. And Jen, keep us informed on your meeting. I'd be interested to hear how that goes.
Will do.
Okay. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
See you later.
Thanks all. Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.